Good morning, y'all. Happy Saturday. Sorry I am a little bit late. That was my bad. I was actually making my dogs food, which I know sounds really weird, but I genuinely cook them food because, they're older issues. It's easier to just make it instead of having to take them to the vet all the time, right? So, without further ado, welcome to honestly, I don't even know what part this is. It might be 4 or 5, but it doesn't matter. Welcome to our Encanto series, where we discuss Disney's Encanto characters in relation to self-care. Super excited. If you've seen any of the other parts, let me know in the comments below. Which one you've enjoyed the most, and we'll see if this one adds to it or if this one becomes your favorite. So today we're going to talk about Camilo Madrigal. So he is the grandchild of Abuela and the cousin of oh gosh, Lord, Maribel. I almost call her Marissa for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, he's her cousin, and his ability is actually shape-shifting, which I thought was super cool. Like, he was a fun character. He was more one of the backup characters, so he didn't have like huge parts, but you see him throughout the movie, and it's a really fun character. Anyways, so with that in mind, what I was thinking about, because this character obviously could go several ways, right? We could dissect it in a positive way, but also dissect it in an unhealthy way, which is what I've been doing with the characters mostly. So yes, this isn't to say that those Disney characters don't have beautiful things about them and aren't beautiful characters that are way more complex than, what I'm giving credit for. It's nuanced. But we're going to look at the unhealthy trait because I want to tie it into some tips and, things you can do to help work towards making that a healthier version of yourself. So, Camilo, right? He had the ability to be flexible, if we look at it positively, and see others' perspective because he could shapeshift and literally mimic other people. But on the flip side, we could also say that he struggled with knowing who he was, and kind of like feeling like being himself wasn't good enough, which is very similar to imposter syndrome, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Imposter syndrome and self-care. So let me dive into this a little bit further. According to the Oxford Dictionary, because I wanted to get a actual definitive definition, it's the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. So a lot of times it might be like, I'm discrediting myself because of X, Y, or Z, or, there's lots of reasons, which I'll get into about imposter syndrome. But this made me think of Camilo because, like I said, he had this inability to believe that he was good enough, and so he would mimic other people in some way. A lot of times he was making fun of people or just being silly, but again, we're gonna switch it up a little bit. So actually, a study, I couldn't find exactly where it came from, the research itself. I believe it was Harvard, but I don't quote me on that. But a study showed that 7 out of 10 people struggle with imposter syndrome at some point in their life. So I'm just curious, have any of you? If you have, let me know. We can always talk about it in more detail if you want, if you feel comfortable. If not, we have coaches, so we can talk about that and get that worked out and handled for you, because we don't want anyone out here thinking that their success isn't their own, or it has, it's not achieved from your own skill or effort, right? So let's go a little bit further. Did you know that there's actually about 5 types of imposter syndrome? Probably not, because I didn't realize that before I started doing a little bit more research. So let me break down the 5 for you. The first is the perfectionist. So this person is going to demand perfection from themselves in all of life aspects. It's literally what it says. They're a perfectionist. If you know anything about people who are perfectionists, more than likely they probably fit this role. Everything has to align the way they see fit. It's all about the control and the way that things are viewed. This isn't me calling people out and saying that that's a bad thing. This is me saying it can be problematic behavior, right? The second is the natural genius. Let me just ask, because I know you all are going to know what I'm talking about. Have you ever had a person, let's say you were in school, because this is usually where you see it. You've had a person that like literally doesn't have to study anything. They pick up that skill with like little to no effort. They're like, I got this. I keep on pushing. So this person might experience imposter syndrome, because if they get to that point where something doesn't come like supernaturally, it takes a little bit more effort, it's harder to do, then they get really hard on themselves, like, why can't I do this? Because everything else that they've done thus far has been super easy. The third is going to be the expert. So this is a person that believes that they have to dedicate all their time to learning about this topic and has to know, not, not like could know, but has to know the answers to that topic, like all the answers. And if they don't know it, they get flustered and frustrated and think like, what was all this for? No one's gonna believe me, like I'm not good enough, etc., etc. So that's kind of how this one falls. The fourth one is the soloist. So this is a person who believes that they can do it all by themselves, and if they don't, then they feel like they're weak. This actually ties into last week's topic where we were talking about community healing and community self-care. So if you haven't seen that one, make sure you go back and watch it and see where this could fit in there. So that's the soloist. And then the fifth one is the superhero, which honestly is one of my favorite topics to talk about. More specifically, Black women and that superwoman complex. Obviously, I'm a Black woman. Fits really well. That's what I'm most knowledgeable about. That's the topic I'm most passionate about. Like, I mean, you see my T. Amplify Black women. And wait for it. Y'all see my glass? Y'all don't know how happy the little things make me. But yes, this is my cup. Also, part of the reason why I was slightly late this morning to getting to this topic. So, but yeah, the superhero complex does not just fall to Black women. Like, yes, it's what a lot of us default to, but this can go across all spectrums, right? This is a person who needs to have the ability, or perceive that they have the ability, to succeed in every role that they hold. So whether it's wife, husband, mother, daughter, brother, father, any of those things, they feel like they have to be able to succeed at that role. CEO of a Fortune 500 company, but also cashier on the register. Like, it's a wide spectrum, but they feel like they can't fail at any of those roles, even though failure teaches us lessons, right? So with this one of the things I wanted to point out and say to y'all, which I thought was really important, I felt that coming, sorry y'all. Okay. One of the things that I thought was really important was this really great quote that I've heard that I share with people when we talk about things like this. So I wanted to share this little nugget with you. You can be anything you want, but you can't be everything to everyone. I'll say that again. You can be anything you want, but you can't be everything to everyone. And I think that really resonates and fits with that superhero role. I think it's super important that that's something I tell you in this moment, because I really want you to hear what it is that I'm saying. Okay, so let's talk about for a moment how imposter syndrome kind of pops up and manifests or shows itself, right? The origins. It can stem from many areas, right? So there's obviously gender bias. There's institutionalized racism. There's existing mental health conditions and symptoms like depression, anxiety. It just creates a cycle. I'm anxious about this project, so I have to do it perfect, but then I procrastinate and can't start. And then I finally get it done, but I'm so anxious about it that I'm feeling, nervous and jittery. And then I don't want to give my presentation. And then I'm not good enough to give my presentation. So it's a literal circle, right? Like, it's really complex. Personality traits. Some personality traits are inherently perfect or the perfect storm for someone to experience imposter syndrome. Then of course there's parenting styles, how you were raised in your childhood, all kinds of things, trauma, right? So let me give you some suggestions, some very, simple suggestions. Of course, if you need help with any of these and you want to start implementing these, you can reach out to us here at Rooted Ambition Coaching and Development to help push you further and hold you accountable for meeting these goals, including getting rid of, or at least lessening how often you experience imposter syndrome. So one of the things is acknowledging your feelings about the situation. The more we fight something and we're like, I don't want to feel this way, the more you tend to feel it and get frustrated because you feel that way. It's like me saying, like, don't you dare think about a purple elephant with yellow polka dots. Where does your mind typically go? Probably to thinking about that, right? So you have to acknowledge what you're feeling. Sometimes you have to sit with it. It's okay to, sit for an hour or two, a day or two, and then you go and you start to move forward and figure out what your next step is. Another thing, take note of your accomplishments. If you're a person who has been doing these things, right, accomplishing various goals, you should start writing those down. I like to keep a little jar throughout the year of things that are like positive that have happened to me, or goals that I've reached, or accomplishments that I've made, and I put them in this jar, just a mason jar. And then I, at the end of the year, I go through them and I pull it out and I look at these. But if I ever get to that point during the year where I'm feeling like real heavy, not confident or unsure about, where I'm going in life or what that looks like, because that imposter syndrome creeps up, I might just pull it out then and like, oh yeah, oh, okay, girl, you did that. You sure did. Which also with this, you can, make sure you're talking to other people, which is another one of my tips, is talk to other people. Sometimes other people see things that we don't even see. So like, for example, with me, Candace, and HB in particular, because we were in this meeting one day, HB was like, oh, you did this and this and this to me and Candace, and we're sitting there like, oh, you know what, you're right, we did do those things. So like, sometimes it takes talking it out with other people to help you see what all it is that you have to offer. Of course, if you can do that for yourself, that's beautiful, but it's nothing wrong with reaching out to other people to ask them about it and kind of be, let them help you and be a sounding board, which I think is a really cool idea. Again, goes back to that community work. Let's see, stop comparing, because comparison is the thief of joy. That might have been Eleanor Roosevelt. I didn't make it up. I just know I like the quote, because we're all on our own timelines. If we are constantly looking at what the next person has, we might miss our own goal, or the thing that's meant for us versus someone else, because we're trying to live like another person. That's not the way our life is set up. So you have to figure out who you are and what it is that you want and how that particular thing fits in for you, right? Like, yeah, okay, Tommy may have gotten that promotion, but perhaps that promotion wasn't meant for you specifically because, of all the traveling you have to do, and you're not a person who wants to travel because you have your children at home, right? I mean, that's just a very general, generic, basic example, but you get what I'm saying. Separate your feelings from your facts. So this is another one that is really not complex, but it can be easy to get into this mentality of like, that's a fact instead of a feeling, which is really important to acknowledge, right? So I'm feeling frustrated because I'm stupid. I'm stupid is not a fact. You're just feeling frustrated. And so you have to really challenge those cognitive distortions. Or let me think of another example. I only got that raise because, Rebecca likes me. Okay, perhaps that was part of it, but that's not the only reason you got that raise, right? So like, you have to make sure you're not setting yourself up in that way and only no, you're discounting the positive. That's what I should say. You don't want to do that. You have a lot of things that you've done to get to where you are. So make sure you're thinking about that. So again, you're separating your feelings from facts. And sometimes you can challenge that by doing things like I just said, thinking about like, let me go list out all of these things that I've done to actually get to this position. Let me go list out all of these wonderful positive things that I offer as a friend or a mother or a partner, etc., etc., etc. Because feelings are not fact. Feelings are just feelings. Facts are just facts. And then let me see, was there another one? No, I think that was it. So those are a couple of suggestions for you. I know it can feel overwhelming, and if you already have imposter syndrome, you don't want to dive in and try to do all of those things I just talked about at once. Just pick one that resonates with you the most and go from there. But before I sign off for today, I wanted to tell you all about a literal moment that happened this week for me. Since we're talking about imposter syndrome, I thought it fit perfectly. If you've all had any experience like this, please, please, please let me know. I would love to hear your stories too. So I have this really amazing friend who was in my cohort for my master's program. She was fantastic. She has a best friend who I met through her, who is also fantastic. But these ladies to me are they are great, right? So, they're both doctors, very well accomplished in my eyes because we follow each other on social media. I follow what they do. I try to support them in any way that I can. And so I'm often I really want to, I want to be like this one day. They seem like they have all of these things going for them. It's great. I genuinely am rooting for them to do well, right? I really want them to, and I love seeing it. And sometimes I'm sitting here man, I can't live out there and do that kind of thing because I just don't think I could do it. I don't have the ability to do that kind of thing, right? So sometimes when I see them, I will do that thing that I just talked about, compare myself to where they are and how far they've gotten in life and what all they've accomplished. But one of these ladies that I truly admire, even though, we've worked together, I know she is this genuine, authentic person that appreciates me as I am, right? We don't always get to talk. We're both really busy women, but she sent me a text because she's getting ready to, I think, start her private practice possibly, or build it up a little bit more. And she was telling me how she was looking at my page for inspiration and was super proud of me, and was she told me I really admire you, and your clients are lucky to have you, the vibe of your website, all of these things that were really important for me to hear. Obviously I know in my mind that my site, that I do really good work. I know these things because my clientele speaks for that. But hearing it from someone else who I admire was really cool. It's almost you guys are probably gonna laugh. It's like when celebrities give other celebrities compliments and they're like, you what, me? You like me? That's kind of how it felt for me, and I really did get emotional. I got really teary-eyed. I read the text to my mom. She was super excited for me. But it's really interesting to see how you might be watching people, but people are also watching you and what you do and your accomplishments. So out there, you're inspiring someone. So even if you're feeling hard on yourself, don't forget that people are watching and people are actually inspired by you, despite how hard you might be on yourself. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna leave you all with that message. Hopefully that resonates with you. Please, please, please let me know if you've experienced imposter syndrome and how you've either overcame it or are hoping to overcome it. If you need to speak with one of us coaches, let us know. Y'all, Jackson always makes an appearance in my videos. If you need to speak with one of us coaches, let us know here at Rooted in Ambition. There's several ways you can reach out, from our website to our Instagram to our Facebook page, and make sure you join some of those other fantastic groups and look through our coaches and see if one of them could also help you with what it is you're trying to accomplish, because we have a wonderful team of coaches. All right, y'all. Happy Saturday. Bye.